Welcome to Leader Labs. Today's lab is on gaining alignment through the V2MOM. And whether this is for the Rise Emerging Leader program or possibly for any type of initiative where you would like to use a tool to gain alignment for your team or for the organization, the V2MOM is the tool to use. Now, for today's lab prep for those in the Rise Emerging Leader program, this is the intro to the V2MOM framework. We're going to help you prepare your peer group for the lab exercise. And at the end, put your V2MOM in action where you present your V2MOM as part of this exercise. So, hey, the V2MOM, what is it? Well, basically, it's a tool that's used to help you build an aspirational and obtainable vision for the future, right? To identify what steps you need to take to get your team to get to that vision and identify any obstacles that'll be in the way that might slow you down. Most importantly, is to identify the key actions that you personally will take or your team will take to measure and get to the successful endpoint of the program or initiative. And of course, we're going to look for gaps that we might need to address in those obstacles. So, hey, let's talk about the intro to the V2MOM. This is the beginning. What is a V2MOM? Well, it all started with Salesforce.com co-founder, CEO Mark Benioff, and he used it as a tool to cascade his vision down to all of the team members across a very large organization. The first V in V2MOM stands for vision, or in this case, your vision. So we think about misalignment. It's pretty easy to think that in a large company or a large project that people can get out of alignment, but the V2MOM is one of those tools that helps us stay in alignment, and that is through making sure that we all are aligned to the same vision. What do we want to achieve? And these are clear and concise articulations of what success looks like. And that's all about getting the team aligned around that shared success and destination. Now, when it comes to the RISE program, we have a vision. The vision is cascaded down to every participant in the program, and that vision is that we nurture high performance through a culture of continuous learning and leadership growth. Plus, we create a bench of capable future leaders that are prepared for the rigors of management or leading others in their current role. That is the vision of the RISE program. Now, while that's cascaded down to everyone that's in the program, it doesn't necessarily mean that is exactly your vision. You might have a similar vision. You might want to tweak this vision, but part of this lab exercise is taking this vision and making it your own. The second V in a V2MOM besides vision are values. And that's connecting your values to the vision. And we think about it, values are, it's what important to you. It's those principles, it's those beliefs that guide your decision, guide your behaviors, because behaviors are reflected in your values and vice versa. Values reflected in your behaviors. So it's all about aligning with the organization and culture and ethics. But in this case, we think about values. There are a lot of different values, and we'll share those a little bit later when we talk about the RISE program's V2MOM. But you probably have your own values that lend itself to reaching the vision that we talked about of creating a culture of continuous learning and really developing our future leaders. So think about that. What are your personal and what are the values that bubble up as the team? After the two V's in the V2MOM, the M stands for methods. How do we get there? What are the actionable steps and strategies to achieve that vision? This is our roadmap for execution. And in the RISE program, we think about things like we're doing workshops. Every so often we have a workshop scheduled. We have these lab exercises such as this here. You are aligned in your peer groups to drive learning and drive accountability. We have assessments, leadership assessments and playbooks. We also will have a capstone experience as part of one of the methods to reach our vision, as well as creating a community of curiosity in this cohort. So it's a very structured way. We know what the vision is. We know what our values are. And guess what? We have a way to get there. Now, would these be your methods? Maybe, let's talk about that in a little bit. But before we do, in a V2MOM, the O stands for obstacles. What's going to stand in our way? Those are those risky things that might hinder progress. And we need to identify those so we can hopefully mitigate their barrier to success. And in the RISE program, those obstacles are, hey, we can't travel. That's hard. A lot of times we have to do these remote. Budget, business pressures, the pressure of the business sometimes pulls us away from learning and really professionally developing ourselves. So that holds back on our participation. So all these things can be obstacles. It's important for an individual as well as a team to identify those items and think about how you can mitigate those risks. The last piece in a V2MOM is measures or metrics. And that's how we know we succeeded. So metrics and measures, these are the indicators of success. And we track our progress based on the measures of reaching our vision. And those measures, which really important, there's something we have to count, right? Has to associate something that we can truly measure, a metric that we can measure. Could be something we count, could be a percentage of whatever. It could be a completion metric, yes or no, did we get there? But at the end of the day, it is something concrete that we can look back and say, yes, we either accomplished that or we didn't. And that is our measures in the V2MOM. So when we think about the V2MOM for the RISE Emerging Leadership Program, this is cascaded down to every member within the program. And we talked about the vision, nurturing high performance through a culture of continuous learning and leadership growth. And we want to create a bench of capable future leaders that are prepared for the rigors of management or leading others in the current role. Now, this vision, while it's the program's vision, could be your team's vision, could be your personal vision, but maybe you want to build upon that. Maybe you want to tweak it. That's perfectly acceptable. As a V2MOM is cascaded down to you, you get to kind of make it your own. And that goes with the values. While the values of this particular program are, we value learning. The RISE program values learning as one of our top values. Curiosity is key here. Idea sharing, collaboration, and teamwork. All these values really align nicely with this particular vision. However, you might have some personal values that are important to you, that are important to your team. This is where you can share the values that, of course, have to align with your vision. We'll skip the O for a moment and jump right to methods. So in the V2MOM, methods are really important because these are the actionable steps that you will do as an individual and collectively as a team. And now the methods that are being cascaded down, the things that are designed into the program to make you successful, is that we are going to have a cohort of participants and you'll be fully engaged. Hopefully you will be. And as part of RISE, you'll be in small peer coaching groups to stimulate learning and accountability. Plus, we will have the Flip Leadership Playbook, which includes assessments and leadership measurements from your peers. You'll be doing professional development workshops, and you'll have a capstone experience at the end, which will be an amazing way to help you reach your vision. The last piece is that one of the methods of this program is that you will build an online community for sharing and growth. That's our cohort, and we will share together collectively. Now, these methods are all connected, obviously, to obstacles in one way that any of these obstacles, whether it's travel, budget, business, pressures, or participation. However, we try to mitigate those obstacles so they don't get in the way of us executing on our plan and our methods. Now, of course, we know we got there when it's all about measures. Now, this particular program's V2MOM is that 90% of you all will graduate the program. And every team will have a peer coach group meeting at least once a month. And the flipped leadership survey will be executed for all participants, including workshops will be facilitated. And there will be a capstone experience at the end. And finally, the last measure is that 100% of all participants in RISE will be invited to engage online and share their experiences with the cohort. These measures align one-to-one with our methods. So for every method, there is a measure. Now, this is the V2MOM. that cascades down, but it doesn't mean these are your methods. It doesn't mean these are your measures. These are the methods and measures and obstacles and values and vision of the program, but you take it as a team. You take it as an individual and you make it your own. How do you do that? Well, that's what this lab exercise is all about. In your peer coaching groups, you will develop your own V2MOM, which aligns with a cascaded RISE V2MOM. So it has to be kind of similar in some ways because it needs to get us to that similar vision. And that similar vision, whether you tweak it or utilize this exact vision, is that, we are creating this high performance culture of continuous learning, etc. And yes, you can connect your values. You can leverage some of the RISE values, or you might have some of your own. And of course, your methods are probably going to be a little bit different because it's about individual methods. It's what will you do as part of this program to make sure that you're successful. I would recommend, as part of your team's V2MOM, that you include participation in the program as a method, because that's cascaded down. But you can come up with your own methods that your team agrees on. That's part of this roadmap. One of the cool things about methods is that if it's unique to you, but your team loves the idea and would like to execute on that, then you could own that method. And it's a very good technique to have one person own each method so that you can hold people accountable to the measures. And those are those metrics and indicators, things that we can measure of success. And we will align one measure to each method. You map those one-to-one. And if you own a method as an individual, you probably own that measure as well. Now, the cool thing is we have some templates we'll share with you in a moment, but don't forget obstacles. We save those for last because at the end of the day, we need to look and identify, hey, what's going to get in our way, whether that's personal or in the team's way of success. But your goal as a peer coaching group and part of this lab exercise is to develop your own V2MOM specifically for your team that will reach the vision that you've crafted. So we have some ways that we can help you here. There's 2 templates that will guide you through this process. After watching this video to the end, you should schedule time as a peer coaching group for this lab exercise. Give yourself a little time, but you need to come in thinking about it ahead of time. But there are 2 templates. The one on the upper right, the template is basically a V2MOM template for this program. It cascades down to you, but you can change it and leverage it any way your team likes. Once you're completed with your template and you kind of have your vision, your values, your methods, your obstacles and metrics all set, then you can translate that into a scorecard, which is kind of an abbreviated version of V2MOM, which allows everyone to collaborate and check in and make sure that you're reaching all of your metrics that you've outlined with each one of your method. So basically checking in to make sure that, hey, you're on the right track and you're going to reach your vision by the end. The last thing is you're going to want to share that V2MOM with your manager and your program facilitator. You can share that with a link. At the end of the day, you don't need to have multiple copies. One copy for the team. Share it however you like to. Google Docs seems to be the best way to do this, but you'll have a template and a scorecard for each one of your peer groups, and you'll share that back with everyone who needs to see it. Final thoughts on the V2MOM. What happens next? And this is really the document that's going to drive us, and we're going to use this at the end of the program to see if we've actually accomplished what we set out to accomplish. I think it's important to focus on the 2 M's, which is the methods and the measures, because they're very important. The methods are really the do step, the things that you will do individually and as a team to obviously get to that vision. And your measures are how you hold each other accountable. The do step or the methods, think about what actions you want to execute on. Now, this could be something very unique. It could be something that is really going to just lend itself to the program of developing yourself as a future leader. What are the activities that you can, put a stake in the ground and say, hey, this is something I want to do. And if I do this, I'm going to be very successful in this program. Make sure you map those methods to the measures to hold everyone accountable. And I would just say don't have too many methods. Make it concise but meaningful. And it's always a good idea to have at least one person own each method. That way you can hold each other accountable at the end and as a team. Putting the V2MOM in motion is the final piece, and that's pretty simple. As a group, make sure that you've reviewed and completed this whole process. It might take more than one lab session to do that, and disseminate that draft to all your team members, your manager, and of course your program facilitator to get some input and feedback. A lot of times your program facilitator will ask to schedule time with your team to review it, which is great. Or you can review that in upcoming workshops as well. Think about where the gaps are. What could possibly get in your way of success? You're investing a lot of time in a RISE program or any leadership development program. Think about what are those areas that you can mitigate that would really possibly get in your way. And make sure you're reviewing your V2MOM. It's not a document you create it and file it away and look at it once a year. Share it with peers. It's something that you look at all the time. And that's why we use that scorecard to check in for accountability. So at the end of the day, your lab is to get this V2MOM process in motion. Hey, it won't be perfect first time around, but it's a living, breathing document. And we say, good luck, stay green. If you have any questions, reach out to your program facilitator. And as always, stay curious.